to agriculture, because it is also very key to the economy. And we've been joined in studio by someone who over the years has played a key role in helping put our current agricultural sector into, you know, a better discourse, and can help us understand whether or not we are in a dire situation, or we, you know, not necessarily, so we can fix whatever the problem is. Mr. Charles Nyaba is the Programs Officer of the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much for joining us. All right. To start with, I mean, over the years up until now, what would your assessment of our agricultural sector is? What is your assessment of the sector?
Thank you, and good afternoon to your listeners. Over the years, let's take for the past 10 years, if you're doing trend analysis, you realize that the sector has not been performing that good. The figures in terms of agriculture sector contribution to GDP has not been something that is giving us a positive figure. It has been up and down, up and down. Now, if you look at the factors that are contributing to this up and down growth, one key among them is climate change. Over the years, we have difficulties in getting water, enough water, from the beginning of the planting season till harvest. So on most occasions, farmers start very well, especially you go to a dry northern region. They start very well, plants are looking greeny. When it gets to the harvesting, it becomes a problem. That's one key area. Now, global increase in input prices, that is ranging from fertilizer, seed, and then agrochemicals. It's also affecting farmers. Okay. And access to credit to purchase these facilities is a serious problem. So you realize that because of that, in 2008, we tried to introduce the subsidy program on fertilizer to bring down the prices. When the subsidy started, it was 45% that was subsidized, and then the farmers were paying 50%. Okay. Now, since then, the subsidy component continued to decline until last year, where we have 19 and 21%, which I think
when it started, how much was it?
It was 45%.
45?
Yeah,
now
that was
about 19.
19. And even with that, you know, because there is global increase in prices and also the depreciation of the cedi, it made the price very high. Because a bag of 15, that's compound fertilizer, 2016 was 85 Ghana cedis. And it was very difficult because you have to sell about 2 bags of maize to be able to purchase that. And that is a serious constraint.
But I mean, clearly there are major challenges facing the agric sector. What would then, based on these challenges, would your expectations be from the president? They have clearly indicated that agriculture is a major thing they want to deal with and tackle. What would your expectations
be? In fact, from when MPP launched their manifesto, I think we did some analysis, and I did this discussion in your studio with your colleagues here. And we said the plans they put in place, what they've outlined to do in the agriculture sector. If they are actually committed to doing that, then we are likely to see some positive or progress from what we are seeing. One, you know, I said earlier on about the challenge of water. MPP promised to create dams. Every village in the Tri Northern region, they promised to create dams for us to be able to do both a major season and then the minor season. I think if they are able to do that, it will be fantastic. And I expect to hear something concrete from the president, where the funding is coming from, when the mapping out of the areas for these dams to be dug. We expect to hear that. But we will strongly recommend that they shouldn't do it like the previous project, where you have an expert from Accra, you go to the community, start mapping out places to do that. Because when you still go to the community, there are some areas, we call it wetlands. These are very good resources for community people. And that's where they depend for water, domestic purposes, and then some small.
So you would advocate for, you know, consultation with the
proper consultation with the community members, with the chiefs, to be able to tell them that these areas are good. When you go there, you will not take the livelihood of people away to replace with another intervention. Now, one other area is that the land size for agriculture continue to diminish because of commercial activities and other things, and also increase in farmer population. So for us to be able to get maximum yields from the same land that we are using, we need to introduce technology. That's modernization of agriculture. So that if you were getting 10 bags of 50 kg of maize per an acre, you are now able to get 20 bags. You can only do that if you empower the people who transfer this knowledge. Those are our extension officers. As it stands now, we have one extension officer providing service to 3,000 farmers. They are not able to do that. Apart from their limited numbers, they don't have the logistics, no motorbikes, fuel, and even access to ICT to be able to transfer this knowledge.
So that is another major challenge, which is mechanization of agriculture.
Yeah. So we need to make sure that we get all these things in place before we even think of going further. Now, the issue of input subsidies, I think it's something that we need to take very seriously. Now, we are talking of making education free for those who are going to SHS.
Yes, senior high.
The area that everybody should be concerned about is the smallholder farmers. They produce about 80% of the food we eat in this country. So for us, or for them to be able to perform this role, the fertilizer subsidies should increase. The subsidy components should increase to at least 50% or more. Apart from the fertilizer subsidy, we should also look at seed, access to good quality seed. How can we make these seeds available to them? We've done a research, and the research shows that about 83% of farmers still use unimproved seeds, and those seeds give them low yield.
I want to come to you briefly to some, but before then, I just want to go and take our viewers through some of the major promises that the current administration has made, especially with regard to their manifesto. So if viewers can just come along with us. The president mentioned, and I'll just go straight to agriculture because we have a number of the sectors that we have put together here. We've selected them out of the many, and we are very much interested in agriculture. And here you can tell that the current administration is saying that first on the agenda will be the increased subsidies on retail prices of seeds, fertilizers, and other agrochemicals, just like Mr. Nyaba mentioned. Focuses on developing irrigation schemes in the Afram Plains and the Northern Savannah, provide mechanism to capture the water released by the annual spillage of the Bagre Dam in Burkina Faso. This spillage actually causes so much problem for people in and around the areas where the water that is released passes through. So government is looking at creating a dam to capture the water to help them. And a number of the things Mr. Nyaba has mentioned actually include these. But of these priorities, which one would you say, Mr. Nyaba, if you indulge me, which one would you say should be number one for the current administration?
I will go for the dams. Because you see, you can have everything without water. You will not make any progress. So I would rather encourage them to prioritize the dams first. Now, because a dam cannot be done within a month or two, and we are already in the farming season, the ongoing programs like the fertilizer subsidy and seed subsidy program they are talking about, we expect to hear that in the coming season. And that announcements will come no later than March, because farmers normally need to plan ahead. Okay. So if you are bringing these interventions and then you bring it at a point where farmers have already cleared their land, they prepare themselves to go in, it doesn't help. So in a very short run, I expect tomorrow to hear his pronouncement on the subsidy on fertilizer and seed.
We are already hearing that some key institutions and civil society bodies are knocking on the door of government that they want to go and start the one dam, one village program. Is that something you would
It's fantastic. You see, when you go to our other sub-Saharan African countries, like Burkina and Mali, so a few years back, Burkina depend in Ghana for vegetables, fruits, and other things. You go there today, and we are importing our tomatoes from Burkina. How have they been able to do it? This water issue you are talking about, you go to Burkina and every village, they are able to create these smaller dams. It doesn't need to be a very big dam. Smaller dams, dugouts, drip irrigation. Okay. And these are what you go to a household and everybody is using. Okay. So I'm thinking that if you have these investors coming in to do this, it will help. Now let me also give it
briefly, for because of time, you can just be brief on that.
Yeah. A word of caution certain times the tendency for us to try to use our existing public institutions to implement these projects are very high.
Okay.
For now, we are constrained with funding. So we need to do public-private partnership to lead some of the implementation for private sector. You only create the enabling environment to come there and pick up and then do it.
And they do it.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you have been in there, so you know what you're talking about. And certainly after the delivery, we are likely to fall back on you again to see whether or not the president actually touched on some of your major concerns. But we've been speaking with Charles Nyaba, rather. Charles Nyaba is the programs officer for the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, and we've just been looking at the Agric sector and then also how the current administration can help fix the Agric sector going into the future, so we can get, it play a better role in building our economy.